What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So we got another episode of This Week in Warframe. We go over the entire weekly reset, and you saw the thumbnail right. We are on the last full week of the current Nightwave season. We have a new Nightwave season starting on May 21st, so basically the last 10 days to get this stuff grinded out if you want to, before a new, basically, mini battle pass starts up. We're currently live on stream as well. We'll be doing these weeklies with chat and doing some Omniforma bundle giveaways along the way. So come on, stop by if you know already. First weekly reset item is at Teshin. We got a kit gun ribbon. Not exactly the most enticing, but yeah. Now, we're going to be going to the Dormizone next. And I want to let you guys know there is a big event starting in Warframe in June. That's going to be a clan event. I think it's called like the 8 Claws or something like that. But either way, it's a Pathos Clamp farming event starting in June. It will be like Murmur enemies on Deviri. There's a new Spider Frame, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I would say maybe hold off on going crazy with Pathos Clamp farming for now. Because there's going to be literally an event dedicated to farming Pathos Clamps in like, you know, a month from now too. So if you could resist, maybe hold off. But if not, you know, more Pathos Clamps is never a bad thing. Speaking of Pathos Clamps, this is where one of the main places you're going to spend them, and when the new event comes out, this will be where you're probably going to stop by every week to spend some of those Pathos Clamps. So we got a Forma Blueprint over here, we got a Pistol Ribbon mod, some Kuva, and this Arcane rotates on a daily basis. So yeah, if you go crazy at an event in like a month, you'll be probably coming by this place to buy these ribbons on a weekly basis, and maybe even these primary Arcane adapters or Axis Warframe adapters too, or weapon adapters. So good stuff here, but since we don't really farm Pathos Clamp that much, it's not really like something that people go for. But yeah, after the event, you might want to start looking at this stuff a little bit more closely. But yeah, moving on, we got our Elite weekly missions, such as the Elite Temple Archimedia and the Elite Deep Archimedia, and our calendar buffs. Now, these calendar buffs have been pretty nice for some farming. So, for example, I've been farming Stage Defense, and these buffs here apply to your abilities in the Stage Defense mission for farming relics and farming arcanes. But starting things off with your weekly loot, you've got a singular arcane or a secondary Warframe Arcane adapter for the first loot drop. And after that, you got thick skin, giving increased armor, heavy mags, giving increased magazine size, or broadened horizons, giving increased ability range. If you're trying to nuke down missions, go for the ability range, in my opinion. But if you're trying to use weapons, heavy mags can help with nuking down with like the Icarius or the Tsar, I suppose. Afterwards, you got a blue Archon Shard, or 2 Arcanes. I'd say go for the blue Archon Shard. And then after that, you've got an Omniforma Blueprint. So reminder, these will never be fully built from the calendar ever again, because it was basically too good and DE removed it. So I'm going to go for probably 200 Vosphor there instead. Pretty much 3 Arcanes guaranteed from Lloyd. Moving on, we've got some more buffs here with Heavy Javelin, giving Radial Javelin cast when doing a heavy attack with melees, so that's pretty interesting. Not the best perk, but pretty decent. Involuntary Transfusion, weak point kills, give a chance to drop a Universal Health Orb, or Universal Orb, which is pretty nice. But health, we're knocking these enemies so quickly that I'm rarely going for headshots, to be honest. And more the merrier. Non-10 allies gain increased melee attack speed and fire rate for each one in range. So this could be nice for buffing up your Nautilus, your Verglas, with big fire rate for that rifle. Moving on, you got Amir's Birthday, and a choice between an Exilus Warframe adapter, which is built, which is probably the one you should go for, or a Forma Blueprint, which is not built. So definitely go for the built part there. And for your last couple here, you got a secondary Arcane adapter or a singular arcane. Man, these singular arcanes are rough to look at. Like, no one's going to really take that for the most part. And then we got the last drop here being an Orokin Reactor Blueprint or 2 Arcanes. Now that we've gotten these changes to the loot here, it's feeling a lot worse, so yikes on that front. But after all that grinding, what you get as your perk options, you got No Quarter, giving increased melee attack speed, Bottle Lightning giving built-in electric sash and electric damage to all weapons, or a Special Shots giving built-in energy regen of 2 per second. Those are all pretty good buffs, but I'd say Bottle Lightning is probably the strongest. Moving on to your Elite Templar Archimedia, there is no Coda rotation tonight, but yeah, we've got some like pretty mid-Coda weapons right now anyway at 40%. The next Coda rotation will be on Tuesday night reset, and hopefully we can finally get some maybe a 60 base assist at some point. But moving on to the Templar Archimedia, you got mission types being Defense, Hell Scrub, basically Survival, and Exterminate. Mission modifiers being Miasmite Mash. Enemies drop Miasmite upon death, that immediately rush Flare. So make sure you're watching Flare because there'll be a bunch of bugs trying to jump on them. Bold Venture. Enemies deal reduced damage and also take increased damage, but have increased movement speed, attack speed, and fire rate. So not that big of a deal, but those miasmites might be really booking at the Flare. And then Bolster Belligerence. All enemies have Overguard. You go 50% of their maximum health. So really watch Flare so those bugs don't get them. Next, Hellscrub got Sporogenesis. Tech Rot tumors appear near Hellscrubbers, increasing the rate of life support decay with each active tumor. This is a very evil modifier. So basically, read what it says. There will be these like tumor nodes near the Hellscrubber, increasing the drain of life support. So if you're doing this solo, the spawns are going to be really rough. So be like basically slim attacking near the Hellscrubber, be doing AoE near the Hellscrubber. You need to break those nodes, or you're going to be draining life support crazy fast. Arcade Automata. Enemies' guns launch large, slow-moving orbs of their usual ordnance. Interesting one there. And post-mortal surges. Enemies explode in void energy when they're killed. For the final mission here, should be a freebie. You got Exterminate. Enemies take 95% less damage from non-weak point hits. Miasmite Swarm. Tech Rot Miasmite swarm out of the shadows throughout the mission. There's going to be bugs all over the place in this nasty mission. And Devil's Bargain. You will drain your ammo a lot faster when you're near a dead enemy. And for your individual modifiers, I got Temple for the... I'm going to definitely put Temple for this. Temple will be really good for the ETA. You got Ammo Deficit. Ammo restored by drops is reduced by 70%. So if you're playing Temple, Temple has infinite ammo with Lizzie, and it's going to be pretty much just a free mission. But yeah, if you don't have Temple, good luck with the ammo. Hypersensitive. Duration of negative status effects is tripled. Yikes. Secondary wounds. Gain a puncture status every time you take damage, so you'll be having really long duration puncture procs, which reduce your damage output. And Lethargic Shields. Shield regeneration delay increased by 500%. So your shields basically don't exist. Again, Temple will be perfect here because Temple's third ability gives you a full shield restore and a full heal restore too. So good stuff on that front. Relatively tame ETA in my opinion. Let's go ahead and move on to the EDA on the other planet for some more Archon shards. Now, as far as things happening in the next couple of weeks, guys, I'll have a new Yareli Prime Access prep video probably on Tuesday, because I did want to cover the Valkyr rework tomorrow. So expect a Valkyr rework overview video tomorrow, and then a Yareli Prime Access prep guide on Tuesday. Some things actually have changed since the last prep guide, but for the most part, it's going to be the standard affair. You'll get that big rep, get those relic packs, and then get Yareli really, really quickly. But over at the Elite Deep Archimedia, we've got some different missions this time. We've got Mere Defense, Exterminate, and Alchemy. As far as your modifiers, Barbed Glyphs means every time you pick up a glyph, you will damage the defense objectives. So that's a pretty dangerous one. Also, Explosive Potential. Rupturing Fragments replace Shuffling Fragments. So keep the enemies away from the objective because they'll be taking damage constantly, and it will also be getting chunked hard by those Rupturing Fragment explosions. Also, Commanding Culverins means your Overguard will be destroyed a lot quicker by the enemies. Moving on to Exterminate. Similar to the other one, we got sealed weak points, or sealed armor. Enemies take less damage from non-weak point hits. And Devil's Bargain. Basically, you have reduced ammo efficiency when you're near a dead enemy. And also Alluring Archonids. Dog robots will pull Warframes towards them as they charge their lightning attacks. And for the final mission, we got some annoying modifiers. Looks like we got Eximus and Force. So the grenades that let you progress in Alchemy only drop from Eximus enemies with this modifier, and it makes it take a lot longer. Additionally, Bold Venture means the enemies are a little bit faster moving, but also take more damage. And Post-Mortal Surges means slight enemies burst with void energy. So basically a big AoE explosion when you kill an enemy. So be careful about that one too. Thankfully, the Crucible cannot be destroyed. But yeah, the one you should be looking out for is probably the Mere Defense mission on the first stage. For your individual modifiers, Gear Embargo means no gear allowed, no energy pads, no Elite On Call, no nothing. Energy Exhaustion means you're draining energy per second when an enemy is nearby you. Now, here's a tip. If you have a Dante on your team, or if you have any Overguard, that prevents his energy reductions, or energy drain. So Dante is the king of ETA, and EDA for that matter. Lethargic Shields is back, again, making your shield regeneration not exist. Unfortunately, I don't have any Temple for this one, so I won't get full full shield regen, sadly. And Abbreviated Abilities means your abilities have a massive reduced duration, so pretty annoying on that front. I'll probably go with Mirage or Varuna here, since Oberon's not getting reworked, right? Moving on to Bird 3's weekly guaranteed shard. We got a yellow shard at Bird 3. Sadly not a red one, because I'm going to need more red shards to make purple shards for that Valkyr rework, because she's looking real good. But yeah, moving on to your other stuff, like your Incarnons. Yeah, guys, you have 10 I think, actually, probably 9 days. Depends when you see this. 10 or 9 days to complete your Nightwave before it goes away and it's moving on to the next season. You don't want to miss out on that Biotic Rounds augment, trust me. We go over to the normal circuit, though. We've got the current frames available as Titania, Inaros, and Ivara. Now, Inaros and Titania come from a quest. Inaros' quest is viewed as pretty annoying. Titania's quest is pretty annoying, too. Ivara actually drops some spy missions. So, you've got 3 pretty good choices as far as who you're going to pick this week. But as far as their helmet abilities, you got Cloaking Arrow from Ivara with her helmet. You've got Pocket Sand from Inaros with his helmet. And you've got Spellbind from Titania for her helmet. It'll give you status immunity and pretty much knockdown immunity, too. I'd say probably go for Ivara here because farming spy missions can be pretty annoying, but if you want to bypass having to do Samaris grinding to get the second copy of these frames, it's also an option for you as well. But I'd say go for Ivara to dodge like hours of grinding out spy missions. Moving on to the Incarnons, we got some pretty mid Incarnons this week, to be honest. But if you don't want to grab them, you can also grab Ribbons or Kuva instead. But yeah, as far as what these Incarnons do, we got the Xylock Incarnon, the Sibir Incarnon, the Dread Incarnon, Despair Incarnon, and the Hate Incarnon. As far as the best ones this week, the Hate Incarnon is the easy number 1 as it has extremely high power. But we're going to review all these in case you want to know what they do. So, the Xylock Incarnon is going to be pretty much a semi-auto duplex trigger kind of situation. But when you go to Incarnon form with some headshots, it's a charged shot. Like basically you have to charge up the shot and then release it. AoE fire shot. Now, it does really high damage, but unfortunately, it is a very, very awkward feeling Incarnon form. So I'd recommend that you put this one as like pretty much last place this week. Like the Xylock Incarnon, or the Xylock Prime does exist, but yeah. If you do want to go with this thing, I'd recommend using it in the non-Incarnon form. So just use the normal like Xylock form and go for Commodore's Fortune or go for Survivor's Edge, giving tons of crit chance and crit damage. This thing does not normally have that highest stats, so you can get some great slash proc viability out of this thing. If you go to Incarnon form, you can do a really hard-hitting fire shot. So I'd recommend it as like the lowest tier option this week, but still pretty nice if you have the Xylock Prime. Moving on to another one that's pretty forgettable, we got the Sibir Incarnon. This thing is annoying to build in the first place. The Sibir, I believe, requires like 30,000 cryotic to build it. So if you have the 30,000 cryotic to use this thing, maybe you should grab an Incarnon because it does upgrade it quite a bit. So once you go to Incarnon form with the 6x multiplier, create a cold blast radius with heavy slams. It's really hard to notice that, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've used this thing a lot. I've used this thing for level 10,000 like 3 or 4 times. It is very hard to notice that blast or that cold AoE. So you may just use this as a stat upgrade on the Sibir. And it does give you a good stat upgrade. Absolute Valor gives you another 25% crit chance. With my crit chance, this thing is like a red crit monster. But yeah, it has low AoE size of the slams. And now that we know that slam attacks are being changed, nerfed, but changed as well. You can call it a buff, you can call it a nerf. This thing's low AoE size at base will be hurting it even more. So it's probably like 4th place. I'd say like maybe these 3 is number 1, 2, and 3, and then this one is number 4, this one is number 5. But yeah, these are the 2 lower tier ones right here. But yeah, basically it's a really hard hitting hammer with built-in cold damage. So pretty good for blast. Then you got the Dread Incarnon. It's a railgun bow. After some headshots, this thing gets no longer silenced arrows, but big AoE size increase and built-in heat damage on the shots. You can take out an entire hallway of enemies, and if you have the Nightwave augment from a couple seasons ago, Unseen Dread, that augment will make you go invisible while you get hits with this weapon. That being said, the Paris Prime Incarnon is better in my opinion, but this thing is still really, really strong. I've done level 10,000 with it, will one-shot level 10,000s, it does that kind of stuff, so yeah. I think the Dread the Paris will be in like 2 weeks, so if you don't want to get every bow in the game, you could hold off on it. But yeah, reminder too that when the new update comes out in June, you'll be able to buy any of these Incarnons that are available during the week without grinding it out. So you could buy the Dread Incarnon, you could buy the Despair Incarnon. You can't do that right now. In June, you will be able to do that, okay? So maybe don't waste multiple hours of grinding the circuit if you don't want to for these kind of mid Incarnons. But yeah, strong bow either way. Moving on to the Despair, this is it's underrated, but it's underrated for good reason. So basically this thing, once you get some headshots, will go to Incarnon form, which is a AoE exploding, delayed fire damage. Did I say explosion? Exploding, explosion. It's very explosive, but it only has 20 shots when you go to Incarnon form. So you're basically going back and forth, back and forth. The explosions hit really hard with some of these perks, like Critical Parallel, giving crit chance and crit damage. But yeah, at the same time, 20 ammo is not that much. 1 ammo could kill an Acolyte, but yeah, back and forth. If you're okay with back and forth, Incarnon, not Incarnon, then maybe you'll like it. But yeah, it's an AoE kunai, basically. Now, you know what is nice? Unlike the Dread, the Incarnon form on this thing is silent. So if you want innately silent explosions, maybe give it a shot for like a stealth mission or something like that. But yeah, it's good, just not really something that people are using that often. But as far as the best Incarnon this week, the Hate Incarnon, you got the perks as follows. So once you go to a 6x multiplier with the Incarnon and then get a heavy attack, you'll enter Incarnon form, where light attacks will launch projectiles. Yes, this becomes a ranged melee after you get to Incarnon form. And those projectiles hit really, really hard. They got built-in fire damage, they scale nicely with condition overload, and also the heavy attacks can one-shot pretty much everything in the game, too. So if you've gotten the Hate to drop from the Stalker and you have access to Steel Path, I would recommend this thing very, very highly, as it is a very powerful scythe. So now we've talked about all these Incarnons, what should you go for? Well, number one, definitely the Hate, as I talked about it. But number two will be basically, what do you have? Do you have the Cybeer? Do you have the Despair? Because the Despair is viewed as a pretty rare weapon. I would say that number two would probably be the Dread or the Despair. But keeping in mind that the Despair is relatively rare and not used that much, I'd say probably go for the Dread. You could actually just go for the Hate and then skip the rest of it if you want to. But yeah, if you must get two weapons this week, I say go for Hate and Dread. But really, guys, don't feel too bad about just grabbing the Hate as number one and grabbing the Kuva as number two, because these are some pretty mid Incarnons as the other ones over here. Keeping in mind that every Incarnon's good in the game, but you can only choose two per week. So yeah, number one, Hate, number two, whatever you feel like, but probably the Dread. Moving on to your last full week of Nightwave challenges, you have 9 days, 17 hours before this goes away. And reminder, yeah, that biotic rounds augment is right here. You're going to want that. This basically makes the weapon so much stronger. I highly recommend that you grind this out to level 25 at least for that. You got Umber form at level 29 too. But yeah, for your last full week here, you got the challenges as follows. High ground, complete 3 Void Flood missions. Next, unlock relics. Unlock 3 relics. That's easy enough. Archon Hunter is your first Elite Weekly. Complete an Archon Hunt. And the other Elite Weekly is kill 100 Eximus. Pretty straightforward and easy on that front. And then your permanent weeklies, kill 30 Eximus. You got a double easy rep right there. Complete 15 missions and kill 500 enemies. You can get all those done really, really easily. Now, reminder too, you need to turn your Nora creds for this season before the end of the season, or they become diminished in value a lot. So as far as what to drain your Nightwave creds on, I'd say you can grab Nightane, you can grab Auric and Reactors, you can grab Kuva. If you see any helmets you like, you can grab those too. But yeah, the main things is going to be Nightane, because this is the best spot for Nightane in the whole game. As far as some of your augment mods, you got plenty of them this week. You got Deadly Maneuvers the Magnus, which gives you a ton of crit chance if you do a roll. And you got Loot Detector for picking up loot from across the map. You also got Sentient Barrage the Batacore. I'd say out of all these things, the best one to get is probably going to be Loot Detector, just to give you better farming in like some missions. But yeah, that being said, not the best aura mods and stuff this week, unfortunately. For Conclave mods, you've also got anything good? Looks like they're all bad. Skull Shots is okay for infinite ammo, but yeah, not the best things to drop your Nora creds on this week. Hopefully next week has a little bit better stuff. But you would have a Jade Helmet at least. That's pretty cool. Moving on to your Archon Hunt. We've got, hopefully, some red Archons. Yeah, we do. We got the Snake Archon, or the Wolf Archon. I've only got a 20% drop chance, unfortunately. But yeah, mission types to be Mobile Defense, Excavation, and the Final Boss Showdown. Good luck getting that stuff to drop. One more thing before we call it here. There is the Galleon of Ghouls event going on right now, and you've got 14 hours on the tack and lug blueprint aspect of it. But next week, they're going to have both weapons, the Tonkat and the tack and lug, returning for one last weekend before they get added to the Ghoul drop table. So, yeah, starting next Friday, you'll have both the new weapons in the drop table, so it will be a little bit diluted drop tables, but still, you can get them all to drop next week. That will be the last week of the Galleon of Ghouls. I guess you could call it an event, technically. But yeah, guys, that's going to be basically for the video. Hope you found it fun and helpful. I'll see you on stream very soon. Expect that Valkyrie rework video tomorrow and the Rally Prime Access prep video on Tuesday. Really appreciate the support and take it easy. Peace!